economy initiative, from conception to implementation to the stable system it is today. The system in Romania today is now generating significant economic, environmental, and societal impact at a national level. So today, I'd like to tell you about what we built and what we've learned. In less than 3 years of operation, we've collected over 9 billion containers and we've sold over 650,000 tons of materials to recyclers. In 2025, year 2 of operation, we achieved a collection rate of 83% and sold 95% of these materials to recyclers to be put back into the system for recycling for further use. From concept to a national system and from policy to real impact. Our circular economy is not just about recycling. It sits at the intersection of environment, economy, trade, and industry. By securing local, steady supply of PET, aluminium, and glass, we have reduced the reliance on imports and strengthened Romanian industry. Waste became a resource, and that resource we retain here in Romania for further use. The Romanian DRS has set a benchmark now in the sector, both domestically and internationally. Our experience in building the system, what it is today, in such a short period of time, has taught us 3 things. Firstly, ambition is not enough. You need strong policy, consistent implementation, and a predictable regulatory environment. Because you cannot build if the regulatory environment is changing. And what we have here in Romania is a consistent, predictable regulatory environment. And this is key. Because vision without structure doesn't bring scale. Over the last 3 years, we worked hand in hand with the authorities, with openness and transparency. And this was so important for the success of the system. And that brings me to the second learning of collaboration. DRS is not just about building data infrastructure and logistics network. Of course, we need it. Of course, it's critical. But it's about trust between government, industry, and consumers. Real transformation happens when all stakeholders work together, guided by a shared purpose. And that was so important here in Romania. A shared purpose by consumers, retailers, producers, and public authorities. That is the key ingredient of any successful public-private partnership, and the Romanian DRS system is proof of this. How to turn policy into an efficient instrument with tangible outcomes and real economic and social impact. In terms of social impact, the DRS has managed to generate a cultural shift towards a responsible behaviour in terms of recycling and the environment here in Romania. And this has been fantastic. And what we see is every success we communicated, the consumers saw it, the Romanian citizens saw it, because they saw on the streets, there was no more bottles on the streets. There was no more bottles in the countryside. And this was recognised, and the citizens were very proud of this, because it's their system. The system was not just designed for people, it was built with them. By listening to citizens, by working hand in hand with all our partners, we earn trust. And trust is what makes the system last. Our suppliers have been unbelievable, relentless. Our stakeholders working tirelessly with Futuro to help us build a best-in-class system. Competitiveness and strategic autonomy. We're at the crossroads of or between continent's green ambitions
geopolitical uncertainty, and lately unpredictable trade measures. It is also a moment to prove EU leadership in positioning the sustainability and circularity agenda as a key growth pillar for the future. I stand today in front of you as a representative of Returo's supervisory board with great pride. You probably heard already different appellations for Returo. Most of them are probably correct. World's largest integrated deposit return system, Romania's largest circular economy project, or most successful public-private partnership of our country today. For me, it is much more than that. It represents a proof that when we leave personal interests aside and collaborate for a greater good, only one thing will happen. We will exceed expectations. Returo is also the proof that business rivals can become partners, embracing sustainability as the guiding principle for Romania's economic future. But the deposit return system is more than just hitting ambitious collection and recycling objectives. It is a catalyst of positive change. Change throughout the entire ecosystem. Producers, retailers, collectors, equipment and technology providers, and above all, citizens, Romanian citizens. Allow me to share a personal story. Gemma touched on it, but I want to give you also my own personal perspective. Just to prove one more time the transformative force of Returo in the Romanian society. I used to see Romania as it is, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. As well, not one of the cleanest countries in the world. A country where cleanup efforts always felt short or too small make a difference. This is how things were when I left Romania back in 2019, having the opportunity to work abroad for a couple of years.
What it's the reality is every system is designed nationally, but they have surprisingly similar challenges. We have logistic challenges, we have fraud prevention, we have material quality problem, and not the most important, cost efficiency. So regional cooperation, from what we see in the countries where we are present, we are seeing that a better regional cooperation related to standardization of some process related to what I said before. For example, barcodes, digital tracking and fraud detection. That can be a good point to start standardizing at a European level. And also, it opens a very good opportunity in cross-border recycling market for the materials. So now each DRS system can use all the European market for the final products that they are trying to obtain. So we've seen that also in Romania, and every country learn, and with the experience of each country, every country learns. So might be a good idea to standardize this type of similarities that you can find in each country. Difficult. It is very difficult to achieve that, to be honest, because actually it is happening a bit, but it must be happening very controlled. It will probably need to appear different clearinghouse related to each country. So I believe it's difficult, and I would stay on standards that can be applied on the things that are in common challenges. that every country has. Like I mentioned before, I wouldn't go that far in all direction. It is difficult, and every country has different challenges.
Independence within Europe, or even really your local manufacturing base as well?
So basically, if we're looking at the answers, of course, there are some people who haven't answered yet, but the numbers already show that we understand that we need a market at European level. So it's not a coordination at European level. It's something that will actually bring stability at local level, at national level. So yes, of course, we need local processes, local manufacturers. Of course, we need the local market, but it's only gonna be growing if you all already have a European market, an open European market. So yes, we need to be very ambitious, and we need to have our focus on the next 10 years, because this is gonna be a huge shifting point for us. And the only way that we're gonna be leaders at international level is if we work together. I really hope that the Circular Economy Act is going to bring a lot of strong pillars that we need in order to be competitive at the international level. It's not only about being competitive, it's also about knowing that the resources that we right now need are not going to be there if we're going to use the resources at the same rhythm that we're using them today. So it's about actually coming to the realization that the model that we're using right now, it's not going to work for the local markets, for the national markets, and for the European markets. So if we're not going to come up with an answer at European level, with the European strategy, with coordination between us, we're all going to lose. So we need to split any objective and then see what measures can we implement in order to achieve those goals. So we're gonna implement and we're gonna create more than 200 voluntary collection centers that Romania did not have, and strongly needed those in order to align with the targets. So when we're talking about huge goals, the strong words like urgency. What we need to do is to actually split every major objective and see what resources do we align with complying with those targets. So that's my focus is to be very practical and not to be overwhelmed by the mission. It's just and when it's just pure when you're talking about costs, who needs to pay the cost? Of course, there are a lot of laws that could be paid by users, by ones who actually need to collect and use this resources. Because at the end of the day, they're not wasting their resources that we need. But the state also needs to play a key role. And our key role is to be a pillar. A pillar it is and to actually support with strategic measures. So that's my point of view.
What would be your take? I mean, Diana highlighted very much the public investment. Do you also expect that there will be much more costs involved for producers and other operators placing Europe on the market as well for this round?